Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam Livingston, and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. So welcome to my slightly less cocaine-fueled covered call tutorial. I wanted to do a version of this that is geared toward beginners, so if you've ever heard the word options and immediately thought, nope, that's for Wall Street psychos who do lunchtime nose candy rails in the bathroom, this one's for you. Now, before we start, this is not financial advice, this is financial entertainment. Like if Netflix and CNBC had an unholy love child that can't be trusted with your retirement. You could follow what I'm doing here and make a pile of money, or you could screw it up and have to explain to your spouse why the kid's college fund is now just one single share of MSTR. That's on you. Now, in my opinion, as a risk-averse investor, this is a way to get income that is pretty low risk. We're going to break down exactly how to sell covered calls, why I like targeting the 0.10 to the 0.20 delta 30 days out, and how to harvest premium like a rent collector in a bad neighborhood. And hey, if you still don't get it by the end, I do offer paid consultations to walk you through this killer income strategy step by step, so you can start pulling cash from the market instead of shoving it in like a slot machine addict. Now remember, I do not do paid financial advice because that would be illegal. I can only educate. If you're interested, just let me know. Now, let's get to it. So here's the mission. The goal is not to stare at the MSTR chart for 14 hours a day until you start hallucinating candlesticks. The goal is to make the stock you already own start paying rent. You've been a landlord for all this time and you didn't even know it. You're not charging rent. It's time to fix that. We want monthly income, not the passive income the Instagram guy promised you while he filmed in a rented Lambo, but actual hit your bank account, pay your bills money. We're going to keep the core position intact. We're not gambling away your MSTR like a divorced uncle at a blackjack table. And we're going to use MSTR's volatility, those glorious Bitcoin-induced mood swings, to squeeze the market for cash like a loan shark with a payment due. The exact target here, selling calls with a delta between 10 and 20, about 30 days out. Why? Because that's the sweet spot where the premium is juicy, the risk is sane, and the theta decay works for you like a slowly ticking time bomb. Except in this case, you're the one who gets paid when it goes off. All right, here's the magic trick. A covered call is basically you saying, I own this stock, but I'm willing to rent out the right for someone else to take it from me at a higher price if they pay me up front. Think of it like leasing out your car. You still own it, you still drive it, but someone's paying you just in case they decide they want to buy it later. And if they never do, you keep the money and the car. Except here, the car is 100 shares of a stock, in this case MSTR, and instead of oil changes, you just watch Bitcoin make Sailor richer. You collect what's called a premium. That's cash they wire to you instantly. Two outcomes from here. Number one, the stock stays below the strike price. You keep the shares and the cash. You just got paid for doing nothing. That's the dream. Number two, the stock goes above your strike price. You sell the shares at the agreed upon price, plus you still keep the cash. It's like someone overpaying you for your house and you still keep the deposit. So really, selling a covered call is like being a landlord, a loan shark, and a casino owner all at once, but without needing to break anyone's kneecaps. All right, let's put this in numbers so you can actually picture instead of abstract finance gibberish. You've got 100 shares of MSTR just sitting there, $395.13 each. You're not touching them, you're not selling them, you're just letting them sit in your account like a lazy roommate who never pays rent. So here's what we do. We sell a $525 strike call 34 days out for about $3.50 a share. That's $350 in cold, hard cash right now, no waiting, no invoicing, no chasing a guy down an alley. They pay you today. Now, two ways this ends. Number one, MSTR stays under $525. You keep your 100 shares and the $350 premium. That's your rent check. Next month, rinse and repeat. Number two, MSTR goes over $525. You sell at $525, which is still a $129.87 per share gain from where we started, and you still keep the $350 premium. That's like someone paying you a bonus for selling your stock at a massive profit. Either way, you win, and the beauty, you can do this every month until your MSTR holdings are basically printing your grocery bill, your car payment, and maybe a small cocaine budget if you do want to go back to the high energy version of this video. Now, in my opinion, a good way to break this down for beginners is to show a version of the transaction in Microsoft Paint. This is my glorious piece of art that demonstrates this process. Right here, this is me, the Bitcoin wizard. Right here, this is a degenerate that's actually buying this contract from me. This is the contract that represents 100 shares of MSTR, and I'm selling it to this chubby degenerate. As you can see, if you look at the text bubble from this chubby degenerate, he thinks MSTR will be $525 or above in 30 days, and will pay me $350 for the right to buy my shares from me at that price if he is right. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Now that we have that out of the way, let's translate the Wall Street nonsense into plain English so you can actually remember it. The strike price, this is the number where you've basically said, if the stock hits this, you can have my shares. Think of it as your buy me dinner first price. Number 2 is the expiration date, the deadline. If the stock doesn't hit the strike price by this date, the contract turns into a pumpkin and you keep the cash. The premium is the money that they give you upfront for the privilege of maybe taking your shares later. This is your instant gratification, the rent check, the bribe, the hush money. The delta, 2 things: the probability this thing ends in the money and how sensitive the option is to price moves. I like my deltas low, like my chances of buying Ethereum. Theta. Theta is time decay. Options lose value as the clock ticks down, and as the seller, you are the winning side of that clock. Every day that passes, Theta eats away at the option like termites in the buyer's house, and you're the exterminator that gets paid to watch. Now you ask, why does the value of the option go down with time? Because with less time until we reach the expiration date of the contract, that means there's less time for MSTR to move up to breach the strike price. So this is getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but what you could do is sell a contract and then wait a couple weeks or 1 week or a few days when MSTR's price action is chopping sideways or going down. You can buy the contract back as it's worth less and pocket a 50, 60, 70% gain from when you sold it, and then you can sell another contract for more premium, rinse and repeat. That way you can fit in a bunch of transactions each year and make bank on premium. But we'll get to that in a second. You could sell covered calls on any stock, but MSTR is like selling umbrella rentals in a hurricane. Why? First, volatility. MSTR doesn't just move, it lunges across the chart like it's had too much espresso and bad news at the same time. Big swings mean big premiums, and big premiums mean you get paid more for the same amount of risk. Second, Bitcoin exposure. This thing's price is chained directly to the mood swings of the world's most volatile asset class. Bitcoin pumps, MSTR rips. Bitcoin dumps, MSTR dives. Either way, the volatility keeps option prices fat and juicy. Third, because of this volatility, you can sell calls way out of the money and still make a solid payday. On most large caps, you have to sell strikes practically at the current price to get any premium worth mentioning. With MSTR, you can sell strikes so far away you need binoculars to see them, and you still collect rent. So yeah, in the covered call game, MSTR is like owning beachfront property in Miami during spring break. High traffic, high drama, and everyone's willing to overpay. All right, let's talk about the fine print before you think this is free money falling from the sky. The reward side, immediate cash flow. Premium hits your account faster than a DoorDash order in a snowstorm. Works great if MSTR is chopping sideways or just wandering around like it lost its keys. The risk is you are selling some of your upside for income. If MSTR goes on a face-melting rally past your strike, you're out. You sell at the agreed price and watch the rocket from the launch pad, instead of riding the rocket, of course, which, would be a sad scenario for you. And also, stocks can drop. That $350 premium is nice, but it's not going to save you if MSTR one day decides to cliff dive 40%. And there is a 100 share requirement. You can't do this with 7 shares in a Robinhood account unless you're into illegal stuff. You can do poor man's covered calls when you synthetically create the position, expiration. I go over that in my cocaine version of the video if you'd like to see more details. Covered calls are like dating someone way out of your league. Lots of fun, but you have to be okay knowing it might end suddenly if things heat up too fast. This is where my magic number comes in for my risk tolerance. I like to sell calls with a delta between 0.10 and 0.20, about 30 days to expiration. Why a 0.10 and 0.20 delta, you ask? Because it's my Goldilocks zone, low enough where there's only between a 10 to 20% chance that the stock actually hits the strike price, but high enough to still pull in a premium that makes it worth your time. Sell too close to the money and you'll get assigned faster than a substitute teacher in an inner city. Sell too far away and you'll make about $6 and a coupon for free mozzarella sticks. Why 30 days out? That's the theta decay sweet spot. It's where the options value starts melting like ice cream in July. You get enough time value to collect a juicy premium, but not so much time that you're sitting around forever praying for it to expire worthless. In short, it's the perfect balance of getting paid well, avoiding unnecessary risk, and letting time work for you instead of against you. It's not magic, but it's close enough to feel like cheating. Covered calls work because you're selling time. And time is the one thing in the market that always runs out. Options are like milk. The closer you get to the expiration date, the faster they spoil. This spoilage is called theta decay. And instead of crying over sour milk, we're bottling it up and selling it back to the market for cash. By selling high volatility MSTR options 30 days out, we're collecting maximum premium while letting time rot the contract away. Most of the decay happens in the last month, so we're selling the option right before it starts falling apart. Buyers, the degenerates, are paying for the possibility, the dream that MSTR will moon before the clock hits zero. But most of the time, it won't, and when it doesn't, we get to keep the premium and try again next month. This is being the house in the casino. People walk in thinking they're gonna beat you, but the math says otherwise, and the math always wins. This here is a classic theta decay chart that illustrates what I'm talking about. When you sell the contract 30 days out from expiration, the line is right here on the chart. As you can see, after this point here, when you sell, the value of the contract starts to drop very rapidly. The time decay of the contract is most rapid under 30 days. You want to sell right here and let the time do the work for you. This is called theta harvesting. You are harvesting time. You are waiting for the value of the contract to go down so you can buy it back at a lesser price than you paid for it. Rinse and repeat, you're making bank. Let's walk through this like we're actually putting money on the table. This was my example from earlier. Remember, MSTR is sitting at $395. We sell the $525 strike call 34 days out for about $350 a share. The premium collected is $350 that hits your account instantly, not pending, not in process. It's spendable right now. And then I already went over the two ways that this can play out. You know, if it's less than $525 at expiration, you keep the shares and the premium. If it's over the $525 strike price, well, you sell for a gain, boo-hoo. And then you also keep the premium. Now, if you can just do this trade once a month for a year, that's an extra $4,200 a year on just 100 shares of MSTR. What if you have 500 shares? What if you have 1,000? Obviously, you need to size your positions. I'm just saying, you know, this is a very powerful method for collecting cash. You also have to remember that you can fit in a lot more than 12 transactions a year. If MSTR goes sideways or down, you can buy back the contract, which nets you more premium. I think the $4,200 a year is extremely conservative if you start doing this effectively. Remember, this is all the while holding stock you already own. You might as well have some fun. Now we're going to look at what this looks like on the Fidelity option chain. Here are the expiration dates. I'm going to go to about 1 month out, which is September 12th. That is now selected. Now I can go down to the strike price and I can see here that I want to find the 0.10 to the 0.20 delta. So I might have to zoom out here, but we're going to get there. Here's the delta. As you can see, we're going to scroll down right here. The 0.20 delta is 470. The 0.10 delta is about the $520 or $525 strike. We're going to go ahead and select this one here. We're going to sell. So now that's clicked, we're gonna sell to open the position. We're gonna put in quantity 1 representing my 100 shares that I already own. We're gonna do a limit order and we're just gonna go with the midpoint for consistency's sake. There's your 350 as mentioned. And then right there, as you can see, there's my $350 pocketed. Well, close to, there's a 65-cent fee. Oh no. I would then monitor MSTR price action. If it goes down massively in the next week, I'll buy the contract back to close out the position. I sold it to open it. I can buy the same contract back for a lower price, capture the spread, and then just sell another contract. Keep it running. Keep the wheel running. Make bank. For those of you who are curious, if we take on higher risk and sell at the 0.20 delta, we can go ahead and click sell that. And here we go, we'll see. We're gonna sell 1 to open the position. Select the bid or the midpoint. Well, we'll do the midpoint for fun, right? And there you go, $744 in premium collected on shares that you already own. And you're just gonna hope that MSTR doesn't rocket past $470 in 1 month. Now that is how you can make bank selling covered calls. All right, you sold the call, you collected the premium, and now we wait. But here's how you actually manage it without panicking like a newbie watching their first candle chart. If MSTR blasts above your strike price early, if you're happy selling at that price, crack open a beer and let it ride to expiration. You'll let it get assigned, cash out, and still keep your premium. If you want to keep your shares, you roll the option. Buy back the call option and sell a new one at a later date and or a higher strike. Think of it as renegotiating the lease with your tenants before they move out. If MSTR stays under your strike, do nothing. Let the contract expire worthless. You keep the premium, your shares, and the smug satisfaction of being right. Then sell the next month's calls and repeat. The key here is not to freak out. You're not day trading on Red Bull and hope. You're playing a slow, deliberate game where the clock is on your side. Let Theta do the dirty work while you sit there collecting rent like a mafia boss who's really into Bitcoin. All right, let's land this plane before someone in the comments asks if they can do this with 2 shares of GameStop. Covered calls on MSTR are a steady cash flow machine. You already own the shares, so now you're just putting them to work. Like turning a couch potato into a full-time rent payer. The optimal setup, you know, the 0.10 to the 0.20 delta 30 days out. That's the sweet spot, remember, where the premium is worth your time, the risk is reasonable, and the theta decay is working for you like an unpaid intern who never takes a day off. MSTR's volatility is your best friend here. Every time Bitcoin has a mood swing, option premiums get fatter and you get paid more for doing the exact same thing. The only catch, you've got to stay disciplined, folks. This isn't a get-rich-tomorrow scheme, it's a rinse and repeat system. Every month, sell the call, collect the rent, roll if you need to, and keep the machine running. And if you don't at least try this after watching this video, you're basically saying no to free money, and I can't help you with that. All right, here's where you stop just watching and start actually doing. Step 1, practice on paper first if you're too scared. If you blow it in paper trading, the only thing that gets hurt is your ego. And trust me, that's better than blowing up your account on day 1. Step 2, start small. 1 contract, see how it feels. Get used to the rhythm. If you try to go full send right away, you're basically the guy that signs up for a marathon without owning running shoes. In my opinion, the best way to learn options is to literally do them. Step 3, scale up once you've got it down. The more 100 share blocks of MSTR you own, the more rent checks you can collect every month. Remember, this is financial entertainment. If you still don't get it after this entire walkthrough and want me to hold your hand through setting up this killer income strategy, I do offer paid consultations. I'll walk you through step by step until you're selling covered calls like a seasoned rent collector. But no, I do not give financial advice. It's for educational purposes only, okay? So are you gonna let your MSTR sit there unemployed? Or are you ready to put it to work and start making it pay your bills? My name is Adam Livingston and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. If you enjoyed this content, please like this video and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with what you would like me to comment on next. Have a terrific day. Class dismissed.